Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about the respiratory system and some of what the digestive system does in our bodies. Hopefully, by the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of how all of this works. So, the first thing I'm going to talk today about is the respiratory conductive zone and how this zone accomplishes each of these roles. So, the respiratory zone is found inside the lungs and is made of the respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, and alveoli. These structures are thin-walled structures that allow oxygen, once it's been inhaled, to diffuse into the lung capillaries in exchange for carbon dioxide. But what are capillaries? Well, capillaries are tiny blood vessels connected to arteries and to veins. These are what help to continue the flow of blood through the body. These blood vessels carry oxygen and nutrients to individual cells throughout the body. The major function of the conducting zone is to provide a route for incoming and outgoing air, remove debris and pathogens from incoming air, and warm and humidify the incoming air. There are several structures in the conducting zone that perform other structures as well. One example is the epithelium of the nasal passages, which is essential to sensing odors, and another example is the bronchial epithelium. This lines the lungs and metabolizes some airborne carcinogens. Now I'm going to explain how carbon dioxide is transported in the blood and its role in the control of respiration. So it's very important for our body to be able to remove carbon dioxide because a buildup can cause problems such as hypercapnia, which is when there is a buildup of carbon dioxide in your blood. So carbon dioxide is produced by cell metabolism in the mitochondria. You might remember the mitochondria from high school of it being the powerhouse of the cell. The amount produced depends on the rate of metabolism and the relative amounts of carbohydrate, fat, and protein being metabolized. So carbon dioxide is transported in the blood from the tissue to the lungs in three ways. One is it is dissolved in solution. Two is it is buffered with water as carbonic acid. And three, it is bound to proteins, particularly hemoglobin, which is an important compound in red blood cells. Approximately 75% of carbon dioxide is transported in red blood cells, and the other 25% is in plasma. There is actually a reason for plasma transporting less. The reason for this is because of a lack of carbonic adenase in plasma, so association with water is slow. Plasma plays a small role in buffering in combination with plasma proteins is poor. I also want to make it clear that there is a difference between percentage of the total carbon dioxide carried in each form and the percentage exhaled from them. For example, 5% of the total is in solution, but 10% of exhaled carbon dioxide comes from its source. 10% is protein bound, particularly with hemoglobin, like I said earlier, but this supplies 30% of exhaled amounts. During gas exchange, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes from the blood to the lungs. This happens in the lungs between the alveoli and a network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries, and I explained what those are earlier, which are located in the walls of the alveoli. Now I'm going to explain how food moves through your digestive system. I'm going to start with the mouth and I'll end with the stomach for now, just for simplicity. So when food enters the mouth and passes through the digestive system, it sends a multitude of interacting signals to the brain, loaded with sensory information. What is the digestive system? It is the group of organs that are involved in the breakdown of food in the body, which includes the stomach and intestines. Activity begins with sight, sounds, and smell of food. Just looking or smelling something appetizing can result in your brain sending signals to your salivary glands, making your mouth water, and to the stomach to secrete gastric juices. The first step in digestion is ingestion, and the first step in ingestion is chewing. Now, everyone knows what chewing is. It's what you do after you take a bite of your food. If you immediately swallowed, you would choke. So, chewing mechanically mixes food with saliva from the salivary glands. Amylase is found in saliva and chemically digests the starch in food. The mixing process is lubricated by a slippery protein in saliva, and each mouthful takes approximately 30 to 60 seconds. The next step in ingestion is swallowing. The food is formed into a small ball called a bolus. This looks similar to the shape of a football, and it is then pushed to the back of the mouth by the tongue. Involuntary muscle contractions in the pharynx then push the bolus down towards the esophagus. This swallowing reflex takes about 1 to 3 seconds to perform. The next step is peristalsis. Now, what is peristalsis? Well, peristalsis is the involuntary contraction and relaxation of muscles in the intestine or other canals, creating wave-like movements that push the contents of the canal forward. In the esophagus, the bolus is moved along by the rhythmic contractions of the muscles present in its walls. For an average-sized bolus, it takes about 5 to 8 seconds for it to reach the stomach. So in order for it to go all the way from your mouth to your stomach, it takes about the 5 to 10 seconds. The last step that I will be talking about in this video is when food reaches the stomach. So food is mixed with gastric juices, which are a thin, clear, virtually colorless acidic fluid secreted by the stomach glands and active in promoting digestion. Strong muscular contractions in the stomach wall reduce the food to chyme. Chyme is a thick, milky material. Finally, the pyloric sphincter at the lower end of the stomach slowly releases the chyme into the duodenum. Emptying the stomach takes about 2 to 6 hours. So once everything has reached the stomach, your digestive process, depending on how much food you have eaten or how quickly you've eaten different meals together, can take about 2 to 6 hours for it to completely go through the stomach and into the next part of your digestive tract. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope that this helps you understand more about how our respiratory system works and the importance of carbon dioxide in our respiratory process. I hope this also helps you understand better how our digestive tract works and how food can go from one end of your body all the way to the other end of your body and all the different processes in between. I hope that this has been educational and that you will be able to walk away with something. Thank you.